Welcome to Homeschool Companion, your source for information, motivation, and inspiration. If you're part of the homeschool community or simply interested in learning more about home-based education, stay tuned. Together we'll examine the latest resources, learning styles, and teaching techniques. We'll speak with experts in the field to help you uncover every homeschool advantage. We'll also present suggestions on how to keep Christ in the curriculum as we explore fresh ways to teach and learn. Here's your Homeschool Companion host, author, educator, and children's ministry specialist, Dr. Rose Gamblin.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today's devotion is called The Flying Fox, and we are reading from Windows on God's World by Dr. James Tucker. Our verse is Proverbs 4:1. Hear, ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to know understanding. Many young animals receive instruction from their parents as human children do. Think, for example, of the flying fox of Australia. With a wingspread of about 4 feet, the fox presents a truly frightening spectacle to the uninitiated observer. It is the world's largest bat, but its head looks very much like a fox, hence its name. It feeds on fruit, so is not a danger to man or animals in spite of its appearance. Flying foxes live in what are called camps, with perhaps 10,000 foxes making up a single camp. Each adult male has a territory in the camp, and when he comes home from feeding, he lands upside down, uttering a territorial cry to let all who know that he is master of that particular tree limb or palm frond. He will allow close neighbors to crawl through his territory on the way to theirs, but strange males are viciously driven away. The males allow only their mates and young to remain in their territory. Eventually, even the young are driven out to join the other youngsters in the center of the camp. Each camp is surrounded by a network of guards who, having no territory to defend, station themselves strategically so as to provide an early warning system for approaching danger. The most serious danger comes from 2 reptiles, a large snake called the carpet python and the 6-foot lace monitor lizard. When the guards give the alarm call, the otherwise noisy camp instantly becomes silent, and the foxes either watch till the danger is past or take wing in one giant fluttering mass and circle overhead till it is safe to land again. The young live together in the center of the camp where they practice being grown up. They learn the art of territorial defense, and in their mock fighting often get too rough. When this happens, the adult males quickly move in and separate the warring youngsters before they hurt one another. Hey, does that sound familiar? Scientists who have studied these bats state that the adult males act as instructors, teaching the young the laws of their society. Well, that is an important lesson, and I remember as a young child reading, honor thy father and thy mother, and listen to the instructions of thy father, and trying to take that to heart and be respectful of my parents. And to this day, I can say I live with no regrets, except I wish they had lived longer. Anyway, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day, and I thank you for the blessings in it. I pray, Lord, for these families that really want the best for their children, and help them connect your mind to theirs towards those children. And help us to always remember, unless we become as one of these little children, we won't enter into the kingdom. And I know, Lord, that has to deal with faith, curiosity, creativity, and all the things we want to provide. So with that, Lord, all this I pray in thy holy name. Amen. Ta-da! Arts and crafts. Well, I've put a really cool video on my Pinterest site about flying foxes that I'm sure your kids will enjoy. And then I just brought up, I'd already, we had bats, the topic of bats not too long ago. So I brought up close to my video 20 of the best bat crafts. And the one I'd like to talk about today is where you take the little hand print of your child and make that as the bat wings. I think that would be cool, and your kids would like looking at their little hands being traced and cut out. Anyway, whatever you do, have fun learning. Curriculum Corner. So how would I use bats as maybe a project or an inquiry-based study? And maybe bats would be, especially if I was unschooling and I liked the students to kind of lead the way they'd like to go. So bats have so many interesting things. And notice that even in our worship today, it's talked how the big, large fruit bats aren't sonar. They don't have that sonar capabilities that the younger bats do. So you have contrast and compare that you could teach on that, and just learning about foraging, looking for food, habitats, and Australia. There's just a lot of cool things that you could do as part of your unschooling curriculum, just based on what we read today. And I think that's the main point of being an unschooler, is that you as the parent take what you see the children are interested in, and then you connect all the skills that they need to practice with, and you connect the higher order thinking and questions that go with that, and the research. So don't be afraid to try a little bit of unschooling now and then, or just say, we're going to do a month of unschooling. We need to decompress. We don't really feel like hitting all these books, and so we're just going to explore some of the topics that we'd like to discuss. I even do that in my school, but don't tell anybody. Remember, my school is small, like a homeschool. So that concludes our curriculum corner. And as always, my mantra is less is more. Questions parents ask. This is a good question. Does anyone have a divided family in the sense that they have one teen in school, but the young'uns, they're starting to do homeschool? And I can tell you over and over, sometimes, like, I'll have students in homeschool in high school doing this virtual high school classroom thing that I do. And then their younger siblings are in a traditional school. And so it can be it can be one way or the other. And it's been this way ever since I can remember, because I've always had a heart for homeschoolers. Even before it was in vogue back in the 1980s, there would be some families that were into homeschooling, and I invited them for everything. They could come for the music, for the drama, for science experiments, art, PE, all those extracurricular things, or things that we call that aren't the core subjects they could come for. And some of the parents would just eventually say, look, my one child's so social, they just are withering at home. And so they would send them to school. It's okay. I really hate to see it when we make our homeschooling or our unschooling a religion, because God has us all on a different path. And we need to recognize that. Even parents need to recognize that, if you can get your child connected with a sincere Christian teacher, they can do a lot to support the very values that you want. So don't be so hard-nosed that you aren't open to the idea that one child may need to go to school and the other children may need to be homeschooled. It's okay. Here's another question. This is from Toki. She says, my husband just got promoted as a travel worker, and he gets sent everywhere. Sometimes it's a week or a month stay in a hotel, and we can join him. Should I stay home with my 2 pre-K kids to attend the co-op, or should I go with my husband and homeschool in the hotel and take them around the area museums and whatever? What would you do? Well, I am here to tell you that I would go. A pre-K, it's not so important that they're in a co-op. In fact, it's probably more important that they're not in a co-op at this age. And you can, if you have a laptop or any type of connectivity, which every hotel does, you can do a lot of things when they're down for their naps. And there's usually a swimming pool and a gym room. I know the kids can't go in there, but your husband can give you a little time each evening so you can work out in the gym. I would absolutely go. Absolutely. Anyway, that's my advice. Take it for whatever it's worth. And I'm hoping you'll stay tuned for the second half. We'll be right back.
Why is your teenager so disrespectful? If disrespect for authority starts showing up in your teen's behavior, don't be alarmed. It's part of their mechanism for being able to break away from the security of a family and establish their own identity, and eventually, a separate family. Especially among boys, lack of respect for authority will seem cool and probably be encouraged by his friends. Your best defense is to remind your son what it feels like to be treated that way, and to appeal to his sense of treating others how you would like to be treated. If your son demonstrates leadership qualities, he might even be able to convince his friends that respect is cool and disrespect is not. This educational insight was brought to you from the book Raising Four-Dimensional Children in a Two-Dimensional World, available at 4D-2D.com.
You have been listening to Homeschool Companion, a production of MRG Media. Be sure to join us on Facebook. Just type in the name Homeschool Companion. For more on this or to contact us, go to mrgmediaministries.com. That's all one word, mrgmediaministries.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rose Gamblin, and I come to you each week through the programs of Homeschool Companion, and I'm so blessed to be part of MRG Media Radio Ministry, and I'm giving you the opportunity to be part of it too. We can't stay on the air without your financial support, so take a moment right now during our fundraiser to call you with a gift of any size. As a token of my appreciation for your gift, I have a gift for you, so be sure you call. And my gifts consist of some books that I've written that I've autographed for you. So be sure and call us, 301-824-3162. That's 301-824-3162. Or write to MRG Media at P.O. Box 413, Smithsburg, Maryland, 21783. That's P.O. Box 413, Smithsburg, Maryland, 21783. Welcome. You know, a few weeks ago, we were talking about the role imagination played in learning and in salvation. And I'm so happy because today's discussion is really going to be about just that, how our imagination plays such an important role in the development of understanding salvation. I mean, I don't know of anybody in my day who's seen God. I don't know anybody who's seen an angel, but I've heard stories passed on, and maybe, you know, people have had certainly miracles happen in their lives. But how do you really know that there is a God? How do you know that you are part of this cosmic experience? Well, our imaginations play such a vital role, and God has given them to us just for that purpose. And to help us with this discussion is Simon Swart from 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment.
Yes.
And we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk about home entertainment, and in particular, a new release that's coming hot off the press. It's from one of my favorites, and that is Narnia. And this is The Voyage of the Dawn Dawn Treader. Now, tell us a little bit about why you would choose the Narnia series to begin with.
Well, actually, Walden Media has a very strong and long-lasting partnership with 20th Century Fox, and it's kind of interesting and ironic that the last time I was here at NRB, I gave a keynote address and I wasn't paying attention to the overall scheduling, and I was horrified to realize that I was competing directly at the same time slot as the Disney's presentation of Prince Caspian. And they brought movie stars and talent, and then there was just little old me talking about Christians in the media business. And I was always kind of, boy, I wish we had Narnia. That would be so cool. That would be amazing. And then for some reason Disney passed on continuing with Walden and the Narnia line, and they came to Fox as their partner and said, would you guys be interested in picking this up? And certainly from my point of view, it was absolutely yes, and I'm happy that the studio saw it.
Is this the first then in the series that Fox is doing?
Yes, the first two were done with Disney.
Okay, that's my confusion.
And so we're very excited about this one.
The layperson out there, we don't really pay attention as to who did what.
Yeah.
We're just anxious for the entertainment value.
It's really about the story and the individual property, I think, that most people will relate to.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about the theme of this particular Narnia series.
Well, I think Voyage of the Dawn Treader will be a perfect Easter title. We have this streaming 2 weeks before Easter, and really it is about because of the themes. I think one of my favorite characters in this installment is the cousin Edmund, who's a new character, and he comes into this story as being a doubter, and he's all about facts and empirical evidence, and he makes fun of the other two, Lucy and Peter. He makes fun of his two cousins for always talking about Narnia and believing in Narnia, and it's this make-believe world, and they're too old for fairy tales. And, you really need to be paying attention to facts and figures.
Now, will they still be entering into from, I think in one they're going through the closet, or are they entering from like an everyday experience into this world? Yes,
they enter in through a painting.
And through a painting? That's ingenious.
It's just a great... It's a great mechanism for getting them back into the world of Narnia. They're in a disagreement with Edmund, and as I say, they're in one of the bedrooms, and Edmund is telling them that they're ridiculous to believe in Narnia and just all this nonsense and so on. And sure enough, as they're there, this painting on the wall, which is a painting of an ocean, a ship on the ocean, starts leaking into the bedroom.
Oh, wow. Now, who's doing all the special effects?
I don't know who did all the special effects on this one. It was Michael Apted as the director, and he used his team to work on most of the visual effects. I think we have in one of the commentaries on the disc, Michael will actually talk about the special effects, because it's the first time he'd worked with such an incredible special effects team. Because when you're working with water and the image of water, there's a brilliant scene towards the end of the movie where they go to Aslan's, the land of Aslan, and there's this incredible wave. I'm an avid surfer, so I'm watching this incredible wave, and it's not breaking. It's just it's in constant motion, and it's just the waters are held back. It's just beautiful imagery. I think what really separates this installment of the Narnia series is it's really light and bright. It's back to the first movie where you see these just beautiful images. As they're going into Aslan's land, they're rowing through a sea of lilies.
We're talking with Simon Swart, who is the Executive Vice President and General Manager of 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment. And we'll just pick up right where we left off. Now, Aslan, if I remember, is represented by a lion.
Yeah.
And so he's still represented by a lion.
He's still represented by a lion.
So there's some continuity from the previous movies, even though this is done by a different...
Yeah, just in the secret Christian code as well, Aslan's one of the constants. Constants over time. Aslan doesn't change. The
Now,
kids get older.
Have you
but
seen the movie from beginning to end?
Yeah.
So
I've watched it with my 10-year-old son. We've seen it about 2 or 3 times now. And I actually brought home a screener last week, and he's watched that about 4 or 5 times now.
Now, on a personal level, do you have your own moral compass where you only allow certain things to be developed for home entertainment?
No, as a Christian working for a major studio, we work as hard on every movie. Every film the studio puts out is the best movie ever, and we're charged with monetizing every asset in the studio's library. So it is kind of fun to get to work on a movie like Narnia, where it's just what I think separates Narnia from so many other movies is just there's universal values in there. The themes in this movie are every character in this installment is tempted at one time or another.
Now, what would you say to your critics that believe these types of movies expose children to this fantasy that could lead them to a more, into spiritualism?
Well, I think there are enough influences out there that you have to. I think you have to educate your children about spiritual aspects and morality. I think it starts at home, and I think anytime you go, you get that criticism anytime you go into a really imaginative and creative world. So where you're taking people into a world of imagination and showing them really cool and amazing things. I just think it's really important to have an ongoing dialogue.
I agree with you. I think that if our imaginations too long have been left untapped, but we can't really even experience salvation without our imagination. Remember, you can send a question directly to me at MRG Media Ministries. It's all spelled out, mrgmediaministries@gmail.com. Or you can call. I work during the day teaching, love doing that. But you can leave a message on my answer machine. It's 301-824-3162. And don't forget, if you have a high schooler that's just not flourishing well in public school, take them out. They can join us in our virtual high school classroom. You can talk to me about that on both MRG Media Ministries @gmail.com or call me. Tomorrow, we are going to listen to the second half of this interview with Simon Swart. You are not going to want to miss it. In the meantime, I have one last thing to say, and that is God bless.
If you missed part of today's show, you'd like a copy for yourself or to share with a friend, then please go to our website, lifetalk.net, and click the podcast page. All of Life Talk's live interactive talk shows are posted on our site and are free for you at any time. If you don't have an internet connection or you just want a compact disc of today's show, call 800-775-4673 with your credit card ready, because you'll be asked for a small donation to help cover our costs. Also, we'd like to hear what you thought of today's show. Please send us an email, include the title of the show on the subject line, and send that email to office@lifetalk.net. That's office@lifetalk.net.
You have been listening to Homeschool Companion, a production of MRG Media. Be sure to join us on Facebook. Just type in the name Homeschool Companion. For more on this or to contact us, go to mrgmediaministries.com. That's all one word, mrgmediaministries.com.